Now, actually, the story of Lilith is also basically, Lilith was the great mother. Lilith is also called Ereskagul in Anana's descent. We'll get into that in a few minutes, the Anana's descent. But anyway, basically what happened was that after the great mother was overthrown in heaven and they created man, the reason why Lilith rejected it was her rejection of, she was rejecting this particular false creation. And as a result, when she got back up and went to her particular realm and they could not retrieve her, by her coming in, and the story goes, she sleeps with these men and she puts this darkness in them. That darkness is also melanin. So in actuality, they said they made these people filthy. They said that Lilith sleeps with them and make them unclean and filthy. Anytime you hear the word unclean and filthy, that is not talking about dirty. That is talking about unclean. It's science. It's talking about an alien object that does not coincide with creation. Well, we're talking about something that is beyond creation. So basically, I talk about this world was built all out of several primal worlds. Or it came into being after several primal worlds, which is where we are from. So what Lilith was doing was like the hellspawn. She was, in each one of us, she was putting back several of that primal world inside of us in this alien creation. You get where I'm coming from? So in actuality, she put the virus, which is melanin, because melanin makes up those several primal worlds. You see, and she was putting that back in us as the link to get back home. That's also in the Osirian myth, or one of the Egyptians myth, where the children fell and Atum gave them all a tear. He gave them all some water from the tears of his eyes so that they can see their way back home. Basically transferred the third eye, gave them melanin, so they can see their way back home. And that was the key to seeing your way back home. You see what I'm saying? And so basically, Lilith came in and basically she sleeps with man and gives man back this melanin so he can see his way back home before creation. What's that?
Lilith is female, but when we talk about balance, we say male and female, electromagnetic. You would have the two together, and that would generate a balance. So the question I would be asking is, what would make Lilith complete? What would make the female complete?
Well, if you're going to find out that Lilith's consort is Samuel. And Samuel is the serpent in the Garden of Eden. Which means venom of God. So Lilith would literally, Lilith would, in metaphysical purposes, Samuel the serpent would be the Kundalini energy. And Lilith would actually be the primal energy at the base of the pillar that rises up.
So you got four in the garden: Adam, Eve, Samuel, and Lilith.
Yeah, because you got four in the garden. And you would if you can see the good part, the thing about it's real funny about a lot of the Hebrew mythology, like that book, Hebrew Myths by Raphael Paté and the guy that wrote Greek myths, Robert Graves. It's called Hebrew Myths by Robert Graves and Raphael Paté. The funny thing about that is the Jews make sure that book is out of print every so often because they want to claim that they didn't have a mythology. This was the word of God. You see what I'm saying? And so everybody else that dealt with a basic mythology is inferior. Well, they did have a damn mythology. But anyway, they say she kills babies in her sleep. That's also rebelling against incarnation, because incarnation, in Alvin Boyd Kuhn's book, the Egyptians said that in actuality, death was incarnation. So when you came into this physical realm, that's what they considered also death. But also the Osirian mummy, the mummy is not but your physical body. That's what the real mummy is. The coffin. And that's considered death. So what we call death is life, and what you call life is actually death. So in actuality, she was rebelling against incarnation with the aspect, the gesture to kill children.
Now, to me, out of reading the Couture book about Lilith and the book, Pate's book, I got the impression that the danger to them is that when you have the male and female back together in a balance, that the whole physical realm disappears.
Well, first of all, there ain't no such thing as no male. It's just the masculine half of the feminine. It's all.
When they balance out,
Yeah.
you don't really have a plus or minus. It's zero.
Yeah.
And then the physical
But
realm.
all that's called feminine. In the beginning, there was the damn great mother. And in the end, there will be the great mother. And her son is only an extension of her. That's her clitoris, or what we call a pineal. See, even what they call, see, the thing about it is, it's like one sister was saying, well, I heard that before they had all these gods, they had a bunch of goddesses. Well, in actuality, that's one thing when you study the goddesses, you will find out that the goddesses are unlike the gods. They will have feminine characteristics, but then you will also have gods that kill and do the same thing that the males do. So it's also saying that ultimately we're just talking about this dark matter, and what you call creation is the masculine principle. Is the actual masculine principle. Isn't it interesting that the yin, because the funny part about it is before we even had the yang, in the beginning there was all one force. That's what the book with Ruja was saying, that the uncreated was full. It had everything. And the difference between the masculine energy is there's a son of the mother and a son of the father. The son of the father is solar, a solar deity, which means that motherfucker gonna burn out.
Right.
If it's a created light, which is usually your masculine deities. The son of the mother is a lunar deity, which this lunar represents the dark side, which means it is an energy that is forever. It is the energy of that is forever. This particular side in here, where you got the dark side, which is the yin side, but remember in the book, the Tibetan Book of the Dead, they talk about the La, Ma, Yin. Well, La is feminine, Ma is feminine, and Yin is feminine. But isn't it interesting that that's always called, they say, well, that this is the hell realm and the demonic realm, the La, Ma, Yin. So we're talking about darkness, but it's interesting because everything on this side is feminine. The black hole, death, darkness and night, dark night of the soul, the moon, lunar, electron, feminine. You see what I'm saying? The womb, the gates of hell. You see what I'm saying? So obviously, we have literally replace one world with the other world. But the other world has to burn out because it is the subordinate world. Now, going back to the Hermetic text, which is some of the oldest stuff in the world, because even Charles Finch said that basically when they got all this stuff out the Library of Alexandria, that's what became the Hermetic text. They got a lot of these books out of the Library of Alexandria. But in there it says that the God that rules the universe is a subordinate God, and although he gives the nourishment over this particular earth realm, he does not have the nourishment for everything there is, which means beyond the universe, or even for some of the people in the universe. It says it is always, the highest power is always with us in the ground, in the circle. That means hell, which is also dealing with feminine, because in the beginning there was Gaia. You see what I'm saying? To give you some more information, Jeremiah in ancient Egypt, right of the world, said that the goddess Sekhmet, although she was woven into a later pantheon, they say that this goddess is a form of the Great Mother that goes back. They say as long as they had Africa, they had a Sekhmet. And a Sekhmet. And later on becomes the god of evil. So to get a good glimpse of that, you need to get the Babylonian Genesis by Alexander Halo with the Mysteries of Tiamat. With the whole, it's called the Enuma Elish, where Tiamat, they overthrew her son overthrew her, and in turn took her blood and made humans out of it. So it's the same Lilith thing. We have Tiamat's blood in us, which is melanin, which is a pre-creation blood that is inside of us. So all of this is, now, the key is this about the feminine, because it does play in part. In so many words, and I talked about this yesterday, you can get it in the Gnostic scripture. In so many words, what happened is the energy to disrupt the uncreate. Her son was able to harness some of her light, steal it from her, create this universe. But in the process of creating this universe and later on creating man, he ends up losing the light and we gain the damn light. So that particular light is still coming from the Great Mother. But spiritually, it's still a form of the same androgyny. It's the whole.
So now what do you call that?
Well, based on world mythology, they still call that feminine. See, the masculine, they still call that feminine. There is just that, but see, the reason why, if you go back beyond the solar deities, they worship the world great mother. Because the world great mother is the only deity that comprises of both masculine and physical. Feminine.
Yeah.
And basically the masculine is nothing but an extension of her. It's her clitoris. Only in the aspect of creation. Then you get the he aspect. And the creation is a light that's stolen from the mother. If it's a light stolen from the mother, that still would be feminine. On the top of the Kabbalah, once you get past all of the spheres, it still says Ain, Ain, Sarda, Uda, Ain, Sarda, and these supposed to be the primal words, but all of those are represented as physical, feminine. The nothingness is still feminine, but the nothingness is something. Even if we talk about the primal light that was stolen, if something stolen from her, it's still hers. So I'm just saying the principles, masculine and feminine, do apply. But there's still all the holiness of the one create, and based on world mythology, they call that feminine. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that you could call that feminine. It could be just be the nothingness or the uncreate, Ain, Sarda, Uda, and just we gotta play on words based on the English language.
It's poor.
You see what I'm saying? You see of the English language and stuff. But basically, we're still talking about two aspects of the same whole. And all the whole thing and all. And basically the argument can be just as much argued that because she created, or because this particular part that we call light or what we call masculine, isn't that not relevant? So the argument can be just as valid on what you're saying. But I'm just saying that the best research I do is you take it all the way back, and basically all world mythology talks about this world great mother, which is feminine. What's that?
What about the parthenogenesis? The woman being able to create without the man.
Well, she can.
Yeah.
She can.
Energies.
Through the energies. So my point is then, it could very well be like Hilton Hotel said, that man ain't nothing but a generative female. Either way you put the shit. That's why I prefer, because a woman can create a baby without the man, I prefer to say that in actuality that you talk about the masculine, feminine. What's that?
Well, I just finished reading The Cosmic Code by Zachariah Sitton.
Uh-huh.
And they got a chapter in there on dealing with that. Just about the DNA and how at the time of conception and the chromosome, so many from the male and the female come together. But that female has still 13 more chromosomes that does not enter into, say, this creation. And this is why there can't, a woman does not necessarily need a male to become fertile.
Right.
To be fertilized.
Right.
She can become fertilized.
Well, the sun ain't nothing but a reflection of a stolen light from her, and basically sperm is not the solar phallic energy, and the solar phallic energy, women used to can get themselves pregnant by the sun. You see, get themselves pregnant by the sun. In Tibet and different places like that, or you got instances about the Amazon and all that, get themselves pregnant by the sun. You see what I'm saying and all. So my point is, somebody said, I ain't never heard of no woman ever getting pregnant without no man. Well, goddamn it, well, you a fucking nigga on the corner. What the fuck do you know? My point is, because she got that extra added shit, it must be proof that this shit is still feminine. Now, based on all the mythology, in the beginning, what you have is feminine. And because, especially if this is an illusion, I can't see it as valid. For the mere fact that it is not eternal. Now, the Hermetic material says that if in this masculine state of creation, which they attributed to male energy, there's only one flaw in it. It's never forever and it's always changing. Now, although creation chaos always changes too, but it's always chaos though. This particular part here is always in a state of burning up. Everything burns up. When you shit rust, it burns up. Everything is always in a state of burning up. And in the Hermetic text, it says you'll know it's not real because that which is real is forever. You see what I'm saying? That what is real is forever. They say, well, is not the woman real? Is not the man real? He say, no, it's not the baby real. He say, no, the woman is not real, the man is not real, and the baby is not real. It's talking about the physical body. It says because they are mere appearances of what is real. Because if they were real, they would be around forever, but they were just talking about the physical realm. Because the simple fact that it has to die means it's not real. The only thing that is permanent is death. But in the Upanishads, will tell you in the beginning there was death. And death is always associated with darkness, chaos, and all of that type of thing. But basically, based on the scripts, all that ever is and all that ever will be is chaos. But unfortunately, chaos is always feminine, based on the scripts. You see what I'm saying? But that's, it's a play on words, it's an argument and all. As long as you understand it, in the Rig Veda, which is very old, it says that nothing is beyond nothingness. You see what I'm saying? Nothing is a non-nothingness. And that nothingness that we call zero in the Kabbalah is also, but it's also Ein Soda Uda, which is feminine, based on even the Kabbalistic text. You see what I'm saying? And I think that, but this is different than, basically, this has, yes, we are different, but basically, there was one thing that said that even when they look at the tissues on the inside of the male's body, the tissues, the cells in the tissues are made of the same vaginal tissues of the womb and the vagina.
You see what
I'm saying?
That the feminine, they call it genitalia because they speak in body language, so to speak. The genitalia is first.
Right.
Then the male.
Yeah, these tissues, the tissues in man is the same vaginal tissues in the vagina and the womb, and also a man ain't nothing but a woman flipped inside out, which still makes it a woman. Whatever, but I'm just saying, this is a play on words and all. My point is basically in the beginning there's the feminine aspect. In the Hebrew mythology, they cannot have the great mother being, or any female being even equal with the gods or even with the angels in that case, because all those angels, they archangels is male. Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, Uriel, all of those are feminine.
Yeah, couldn't you just say it's like the feminine or the woman, the soul is on the inside, and because we are physical, and this is a physical representation, you just represent either a masculine or feminine in the physical, but your true essence, who we really are, is on the inner, is the soul, and that's
exactly how it is explained in the mythology also too. Because like I said, the only masculine thing only comes in view is doing creation.
Right.
What they argue based on the fight with Egypt, this is a fight that's been going on for a couple of thousand years, that the original worship in Typhonian Kemet was the mother and her son. Her son only being an extension of her, which was supplanted with the father and son. You see what I'm saying? It's usually your solar deities, but God is only a pebble on a lonely beach compared to the great mother. Compared to the great mother. But I understand also too, based on the mythology, because we must rely on mythology as being just as adequate as what the white boy is teaching you his science is, because mythology is more advanced. If you think it's not advanced, try reading some of the motherfucker and you'll see how confusing this shit is. Whenever you get there and you can't understand that shit, you'll know that it's more advanced than 1 + 1 = 2. You can figure that shit out. Good calculator. You can't get through this now unless you're on another frequency. And on another frequency, I do say that the goddess, she's in the characteristics, it must speak for itself that even the Egyptian and all of them, why is it that the characteristic of the goddess is she's capable of doing everything that the male, but the male is never capable of having a baby in the mythology. You see what I'm saying? Even Zeus, when he had when he treated Dionysus, he had to put him together in his thigh or something or whatever, but he couldn't really have that particular baby and all, because basically I think that also has something to do with the solar deities being jealous of us, because we have the aspect of the great mother in us, which means we have it all. You see, we have it all. That's why I'm also saying, you don't need to be praying to nobody if you got before creation in you. Damn all of them. You know what I'm saying? Look.
So that's what the Egyptians were occupied with, the primordial, which was, they called the time.
Primordial, which also later on means death. Primordial is before creation. That's what they was occupied. And Osiris, which is the later version, still represents that primordial entity, because he's the god of the underworld and always the god of the night. The only potential is that which is in night.